Welcome back to another episode of Built and Backed. I'm super excited to have Gab Saper joining me today. Gab is a personal stylist and founder of Wardrobe Editor, who helps you uncover the coolest, hottest, best version of yourself through what you're putting on your body. She's part stylist, part emotional translator, known for helping clients untangle the mess of shoulds in their closet and figure out what actually feels good again. Gab, welcome to the show.
Hi there. So happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. As Gab and I were talking about before we began recording, I was saying how excited I was to have her on because of her unique experience and unique business offering in the tech world. I think it'll be such a good show to have you sharing your tips and advice and everything having to do with wardrobes and styling. So, Gab, that's where I'd love to start here is just have you share more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm a personal stylist. I work with professional women in many different industries, many of whom are in tech. I was saying right before we started recording, I actually worked in tech for a long time before taking my side hustle full time and making personal styling my real job. So, yeah, I have a lot of experience pivoting from bigger companies to smaller companies and how that actually changes what your wardrobe is. And if you don't get that right, how you will be misperceived to not be in the right place. I know that from personal experience of wearing high heels to a job where everyone was wearing sweatpants and later finding out that when I joined, everyone was like, oh, she's not a good fit. And then once I got the memo, I immediately fit in and was more successful because people trusted me. So when I think about personal styling, it's not just like, ooh, cute, fun clothes. It's also about how will your wardrobe support your life. So when I'm getting to know a new client, I ask them a lot of questions around, what does your day to day look like? What are the people around you wearing? How close or different do you want to be to that? Because everyone has a different appetite for standing out. Um, and to the actual nitty gritty logistical needs. Oh, you get really hot, let's use lighter materials. Or you have foot pain, let's get shoes that are going to be comfortable for you while keeping into account the style elements and their ideal personal style, and using all of that for their wardrobe to make their lives easier, not harder.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so curious to hear because you mentioned that this was your side hustle that you ended up
Mhm.
taking full time and leaving tech. I'm curious to hear what your career was prior and what also sparked your interest in wardrobe and styling and kind of nudged you to start this as a business.
Yeah, so I will start with the second question first. I have always been this person. Some of my earliest memories are sitting on the floor in my mom's closet and being like, "No, mom, don't wear that. That's ugly. Wear that with that." As a little tiny one. And my dorm room was the one where everyone would come get ready, and I'd look at photos the next day of a night out and be like, 70% of the people in that photo are wearing my top. So this is something I've always done. I studied fashion in school and then moved to New York with the intention of working in fashion, and then kind of fell into a job in media through someone I knew. And, when you're 22 and move to a new city and a job appears, you take it regardless of what it is. Um, so I worked in media and tech and started in ad sales, had some time in operations, and actually ended my tech career in tech recruiting,
Mm.
which was a really that one also kind of fell into my lap and I didn't see it coming and I actually really loved it. Yeah, I'm such an extrovert, so just talking to people all day was really fun, learning about their stories and figuring out what is the right type of person, not only from a skill set perspective, but from a soft skills perspective to fit onto this team and in this role. And it's funny because I feel like it's really similar to the work I do now, and that I'm like, okay, what is the right pair of shoes for this person that they, will look cute and meet all their comfort needs and their style. So it's editing really is my skill. I found that,
Mhm.
in operations as well. Building out systems that were robust enough to do all the things they needed, but not over complicated that people wouldn't want to do them. So
Yeah.
it feels like, even though I've done a lot of different things, it's kind of the same thing over and over again. But is it spreadsheets? Is it people? Is it close?
Absolutely. And I love that you said that you were in tech recruiting because I feel like with your style expertise, like you probably were able to give candidates good advice about like here's what you should wear to your interview and stuff like that. So I think it's interesting to have that those two things cross over.
Yeah, definitely. And people, I do bring that up like when I'm talking to my clients now, that when we're talking about work and they're like, oh, well, in my industry, I'm like, girl, I know, I know how that works. And I also like, I worked in, when I worked in media, I worked at some really big companies. I worked at Condé Nast and Hearst, where like the
Mhm.
dress code was very different than tech. So I also know the like discomfort and awkwardness that comes with completely switching how you're dressing when you're going from one job to another, or if you're being promoted and now you're in leadership and you want to dress a little differently to command more respect and be seen differently by your peers.
Yeah, and that's a really good point too, how like depending on the situation or scenario, like it might be a different dress code, quote unquote, or people might want to wear different outfits or what have you, depending on what the exact intention or reasoning is.
Exactly. Yeah. I hear from people all the time who are like, I've worked at this company forever, but since I started junior there, I feel like people still see me that way. So I want to up level my wardrobe so I can get the promotion or, whatever the next step is for them. And that helps them not only for other people to see them that way, but for them to see themselves that way and start
Mhm.
to actually behave like more of a leader because they're changing how they dress, and it kind of gives them like that little oomph to take it to the next level, to speak up more in meetings, to be more confident, just like being themselves.
Totally. And a good chunk of our listeners are people who are newer to tech. So they might be like recent college grads, or they might be interested in just transitioning out of like a prior career path into tech. And so they're in this space, exactly what you mentioned, of going to job interviews and being in a job interview for an industry that's new to them. So for anyone who's in that position right now,
Yeah,
who's listening to the episode, like what advice would you have for dressing for the interview for the job that they want?
absolutely. So I would do some internet sleuthing to see if you can find um, photos of the office or like events that the company has thrown. I used to have people say like check, Glassdoor or even like Google Maps or Yelp, where like weirdly there are like, listings for offices, and sometimes people will upload photos. Just like get creative with your searching, maybe even like find people who work at that company, see if they're posting like outfit photos on Instagram, just to get a sense of like what is kind of the average people are dressing there, because you don't want to come in too casual. I think everyone kind of knows that, and that's really obvious. But in tech you actually run the risk of coming in too formal, which also sends a really bad message. It's hard enough, and I can say this as with my recruiter brain on, getting hired from a different industry just based on facts and resumes alone. People are always It's always more comfortable to hire someone who's doing the exact same job at your direct competitor than to hire someone who is doing a job with a lot of the same skills but at a totally different company and totally different context, right? So you don't want to give them more reasons that you're not going to be a good fit.
Mhm.
So do as much creepy internet stalking as you can. If you know anyone who works there, or even like a friend of a friend works there, that you can just casually reach out to and say, hey, super quick question. I'm preparing for my interview. As you know, I work in other industry at other type of company. What's the vibe?
Mhm.
And you don't have to match it perfectly, but if you're coming in, in a suit and everyone else is wearing jeans and hoodies, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna give you a good impression. Even if you nail the interview, in the back of everyone's mind will be like, this person's not a culture fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is such a great point that you brought up. Like, I feel like people will automatically think to reach out to someone they know who works at that company to get a feel. But the part that you mentioned about like internet sleuthing, that is such a good point of to just like look at these photos, scope Instagram, see what types of outfits people are wearing. I think that helps to give like a really good picture and something that people probably wouldn't think to do. So I love that you shared that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, obviously it's better. It's kind of nicer to show up prepared without having to have gotten that information from anyone either. Cause then it's like, oh, she just figured that out. Great.
Yeah.
She's so intuitive. Or like they don't even think about it. They never, the thought never even crosses their mind that you had to figure that out. It's just like so seamless. You show up ready to go.
Yes. Absolutely. And you also mentioned a good point earlier too about that fine line between like not wanting to be too casual, but not wanting to be too overdressed or too fancy. And so, what advice did you have around that of like finding that perfect balance between the two?
Yeah, I would say if you're able to figure out what kind of the average is, take it half a notch up from that.
Hmm.
So if everyone's wearing jeans and t-shirts, do not go to an interview in jeans and a t-shirt, but wear nice jeans and like, maybe a solid colored, good quality, well-fitting t-shirt with a cardigan or a blazer on top.
Hmm.
Just a little extra, a little more than everyone else. Because you do also want to show like I'm taking this seriously. This is important to me. I put thought and effort into this, not like, oh, I wear jeans and a t-shirt every day and that's what I'm wearing today as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point of like even adding like an accessory, I feel like a pretty necklace or something just could really help take things to that next notch. And I love what you shared, just like half a step up. So that way it's the
Yeah,
perfect
like
amount.
just a tiny bit. And like to use a man as an example, like instead of wearing jeans and a t-shirt, wear jeans and a knit short sleeve polo. Like
Mhm.
it's still in the universe of t-shirt, but it's just a tiny bit more effort.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And along those lines, I'm always curious to hear about like your perspective on what people might want to wear like working from home because that's something like my friends always make fun of me. They're like, "Why do you wear jeans and like regular shirts when you're working from home?" And I'm like, "Well, it makes me feel like more productive and whatnot." And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts around that about how people might want to dress if they're working remotely, if they're not really necessarily needing to go into office.
Yeah, so this is so funny. I feel like most stylists that I know and that I follow on social media give the advice like of what you do. Wear jeans, wear the full outfit, wear, act as if you're at the office. I personally don't do that. For me, I'm like, wow, I'm at home. I can wear a t-shirt and comfy shorts and like fuzzy socks. What a dream come true. So I think it really is a personal thing. And if you're not sure which of those you are, dress up for a week, like wear jeans for a week, wear full outfits for a week, see how it feels, wear comfy clothes for a week, see how it feels. Um, and you'll know which one you are. But like I have tried it and I'm actually just like adjusting and like conscious and it's not my thing, but like I
Mhm.
completely understand that it is some people's thing. So I don't think there's a wrong or right answer.
Yeah.
I will just say if you're wearing comfy clothes and you are on camera, maybe wear like slightly cuter top. Don't wear like, your high school track t-shirt. Um, I actually have a few clients who we have like full categories of like Zoom tops. And it's like, nice fitting, cute, but sweatshirt material, or like, like cashmere t-shirt, like things that kind of straddle the line between like they still physically feel comfortable, but they're a little bit structured. They're not pajamas, they're not like graphic tees, unless it's, like a stripe or something. Um, so that's just a thing to consider if you are in my camp of the wear comfy clothes at home.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because that is something a lot of people face is like, of course, wanting to be comfy and casual, but being in those instances where they might be meeting on Zoom where they feel like they might need to do a little bit more. So that was great advice that you shared about like certain types of shirts to wear that still feel really good, but also give off the appearance or aesthetic that you're looking to showcase.
Yeah, another tip that I do, I literally keep lipstick right next to my desk. Like seconds before I joined this Zoom, I just like threw it on real quick. And it just lipstick is I'm into lipstick, it's my thing. So I like threw that on and I'm like, okay, now I feel ready. So,
Mhm.
maybe it's like a scarf or a big earring or I don't know, or just like a hairbrush that you
Mhm.
keep at your desk that before you join the Zoom, you just like do a quick like, okay, now I'm ready to go. That'll make you also, I think, feel a little better, especially if you're in comfy clothes.
Absolutely. One thing I'd love to ask you too, Gab, is your recommendations on what people should wear when going to something like a networking event. Because that's a huge thing in tech is like people attending networking events and casual events and meeting with people. And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on if their dress might be similar to what they're wearing to their office, or if it might be a different dress that they should be thinking about.
Yeah, I think it's really similar actually to the advice I gave about interviews. If you can get a sense for the vibe at that event, because I know, if it's maybe a more like investor facing event, people might be a little bit more dress up versus if it's like, you know, and like mobile engineers where it's like
Mhm.
just us kind of vibe, it's going to be more casual. So see, you know, if it's an event that's happened before, see if you can find photos of it or ask people you know who have been and kind of see if you can read the room. And then again, I would kind of say too, especially if it's like potential clients or employers or investors, you know, people you're trying to impress, I would do like average plus half a notch up.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Would you say you'd recommend the same thing for like conferences too, or would that be a different case?
Definitely. Yeah. Unless you're speaking, in which case you should be more than half a notch up. If you're like a
Yeah.
keynote speaker or even, you know, leading a panel, even if it's like in a smaller, more casual environment, if you are the center of attention in a room, I would take it a full notch or maybe even more up. And when you are in those situations, think about what you are going to be comfortable in, both physically comfortable, like, you know, can I sit down in these pants if I need to? Or, you know, is this blazer too tight on my shoulders or whatever? So you can really speak freely, move around freely, but also what, when you look in the mirror, you're like, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm here, baby. So that could
Yeah,
be a material thing, a color thing, a cut thing, but make sure that like when you look in the mirror right before you go out on stage, you see the version of yourself that makes you feel excited and outgoing and like ready to take the spotlight on.
totally. And in terms of like conferences, this is something I was experiencing a few months ago when I was going to conferences. I was like, shoe wear. I need to think of shoes that are going to be super cute, but also extremely comfortable because I'm going to be on my feet and walking for 13, 14 hours each day. And
Yeah.
so, one thing that I was noticing is that a lot of women had like the really cute, like white platform sneakers. I mean, this might be more specific to the conference itself, but it got me thinking about like just shoe wear overall. And so I'm curious to hear like your favorite recommendations for something like that when women need cute shoes, but they also need to be practical and comfortable for long days.
Yes, absolutely. So again, a lot of it depends on like what's the vibe at the conference. I have definitely had clients who have helped pick out outfits for conferences where like, you know what, actually sneakers are totally fine. But I always say like make sure they are, I hate this term, but like fashion sneakers,
Yeah.
meaning you would not work out in them.
Hmm.
Like they're not supportive in the way a workout sneaker is supportive, and they visually do not look like a workout sneaker. So think like a leather sneaker or, you know, something that's like either a lower profile or is like, if this is your thing, you know, has like a lot of colors and patterns and, you know, glitter or whatever your vibe is, but just make sure it doesn't, there's no way someone would see it and confuse it for something you could wear to the gym, because
Yeah.
that is, it's a fine line, but it is a really specific, like, you know, when you see someone out and about and they're wearing a cute outfit and then they're wearing like gym sneakers, it's just like not quite it. um so yeah, I think in a lot of contexts, especially in tech, um fashion sneakers, again, I hate that term so much, I wish we could do something better with that, but that's what the internet has decided, are great. And then in situations where you need to dress up a little bit more, um a brand I have recommended a lot lately, which people are always so surprised by, aerosols, has gotten really cute.
Mm.
Their camera sandal, one of my clients in particular, she works in real estate, so she is like on her feet all day and she actually does go to conferences a ton. She has the camera sandals in like three different colors. They are a platform sandal, but the heel and the platform are almost the same, so it's like basically a platform, but it looks really cute. It's super comfortable. I think that is one of the aerosols camera might be one of my most recommended items in general to people for various reasons. Like some of my girls are wearing them to weddings now when they're like, I'm over 40. I don't want to wear a stiletto anymore. What do you got for me? Um, so yeah, and I think they make a lot of really great shoes. I also love a loafer.
Mm, yeah.
Because you can, it feels put together, but it's going to be comfortable. A lot of loafers now have rubber soles, so it's so much more shock absorbing. And people are wearing loafers with cute socks now, so you don't even have to worry about like
Yeah.
the no-show sock or like wearing preventative band-aids or, you know, whatever. So I think a loafer is always a really good option too.
Yeah, that's a great point. I especially love the aerosol recommendation for the sandals because I feel like at the time of this recording, it's early August. So it's like we've
Yeah.
been in the super humid weather lately. So finding a sandal that is comfy and also works with all this hot weather, I think is huge.
And they make them in a zillion colors too. So
Mhm.
you have every option to choose from.
Good to know. And on
Yeah.
the topic of conferences, I feel like one struggle that people often run into is you'll get into the convention center or whatever, wherever it is, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's freezing in here, and I don't have like a jacket or anything to wear. What recommendations would you have for like jackets or any type of like outerwear layer, basically, that women could have on them for situations like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is such a thing. I would say one is before the jacket, bring a bag that is big enough to put your jacket in because you don't want to like be holding your little bag and like shaking someone's hand and then under your arm carrying your jacket or whatever. Like, make sure the bag you bring is big enough to fit whatever jacket you have. That way, it's just like you put it away. You don't have to worry about losing it or forgetting it or holding it with your other hand, whatever. Um, so then, cardigans, blazers, this category called coatigans. J.
Oh,
Crew made a great one. Quince is making one now. I think Aritzia has one. It's like a blazer, but it's very soft. Like it feels more like a cardigan, but it has the structure of a blazer. I think that is a very good kind of in between, especially for a tech when like a structured, like sharp shouldered blazer might feel like a little over the top.
mhm.
Um, Also very underrated, the leather jacket, the jean jacket. Like with the right look. I would not for a conference, I wouldn't say wear jeans and wear a jean jacket, but
Mhm.
if you're more comfortable and want to wear slacks and then it feels a little too fancy, adding a jean jacket as your topper will kind of bring it down a little bit.
That's good advice. And also genius what you shared about having a bag big enough. Because like you said, I feel like we've all been there. We're like, our hands are full and we're like, what do we
Yes.
do with all this stuff?
And they give you tons of like they give you all the swag and the name tag and like the lanyard and all the things. Yeah, bring a huge tote bag to a conference. You will never regret it.
Do you have any favorites that you like to recommend?
Yes, the my like it's funny that the aerosols and this tote I'm about to recommend and one other thing are like the three things that I'm constantly recommending to everyone. The Kuyana zip tote bag I think is just like the perfect tote bag. I was doing a tote bag search for myself a couple years ago and I was like, you know what? If I find one that's 2 grand that I love, I'll get it. Sure. I searched high and low every brand and landed on the Kuyana one that I think is like $275. The leather is way better quality than it should be for that price. The colors are a little boring, but like for an everyday, you're gonna want to go neutral.
Mhm.
They're not known for their colors; they're known for being neutral. I have the olive green. Of course, they have like a peachy, like a light gray, a dark gray, a peachy pebble pink color, black camel, like all those kinds of things for something you're going to wear all the time. That is probably the best way to go. But yeah, it's really big, nice hardware. I personally always think you should have a zipper on your tote. I know not everyone agrees with that, but like you're
Mhm.
putting it on the ground on an airplane, you don't want all your stuff to tumble out.
Totally.
Um, so yeah, that's my go-to for sure.
I love it. And you said that you had three products that you typically recommend. What's the third one?
Oh yeah, it's fun. I'm like these are my three products that I have recommended the most to like the most number of people with the most uses. The third one is the Claire V Grande Fanny. It is like a belt bag, fanny pack, whatever you want to call those. It is bigger than your average belt bag. It fits a lot in it. Like I have regular purses that are smaller than it. And it comes in really nice colors and patterns, mostly leather, but it's like the perfect mix that you can wear it like over an athleisure set and not look insane, but you can also wear it with a cute outfit and like you can wear it crossbody, you can wear it over your shoulder. It's just like the perfect grab and go bag.
That is perfect because especially like for women who may be working in office but like don't necessarily need like a big bag, like that sounds like something that's the perfect option to just throw on and head out the door.
Totally. And also, like, if you have to, lug your laptop back and forth, but then when you go out to lunch, you don't want to bring your whole big laptop purse. Like, you can keep
Mhm.
that in there with the essentials and just pull it out to like go grab coffee or pick up lunch or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I'm always like so interested reading about and learning about is I think it's called like color analysis of like helping people
Mhm.
understand like what's their color. I'm curious to hear if you work with your clients on that and any advice you would give to our listeners about helping them understand what colors suit them the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have a little bit of a spicy take on this. So, in my work, when I'm working with clients, a lot of the work I do is about breaking down rules and guidelines that have been kind of like strangling them in their style. So, people come to me and say, "Oh, I'm short, so I can't wear this," or "I have this kind of hair, so I can't do this." And I am working with them to be like, "Well, why? Who told you that? Like, have you ever tried that thing? Do you like it?" So, in my work, since I'm breaking down rules, it doesn't feel like it vibes for me to then do color analysis and give people new rules.
Yeah.
So that's not something I do in my practice. That said, I believe in the power of it, absolutely. And there are people for whom their color analysis is their fashion Bible. Love that for them. It just doesn't make sense in the context of the work I do. That said, if we're in a dressing room, someone tries something on and I'm like, girl, you look physically ill in that color. Like, do you see it in the mirror? So it's not that I ignore completely the concept.
Mhm.
And usually when I point it out, they're like, oh my God, yeah, wow, no, this is bad. So I'll say, like, now we know, like, this color is not a color for you.
Yeah.
Um, but I find in the context of everything else I'm doing, it makes more sense to just as it comes up, address it.
Yeah.
So but I know a lot of people are interested in color theory. If that is something you want, there are definitely people who specialize in that. I will shout out to my friend Mary Comic. She's a stylist who also works with a lot of folks in tech and does color analysis as part of her work. So if that's something you're into, please go find her. She's wonderful. Also, she hosts takedowns of TV shows when they're styling people wrong according to their colors on her
Oh
Instagram,
my
and
gosh.
it is delicious. So, yeah, if that's something you want to go deep on, definitely go deep with someone who specializes in it because I completely understand the impulse to want that. It just doesn't make sense in the context of the work I do.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you shared about that of like not wanting to like create rules instead just like breaking them down. Cause then I feel like people might take them to literally almost where they're like, well, nope, that color doesn't work for me. So I need to totally stay away. Meanwhile, they may end up finding something in that color that they absolutely love and works great on them. So I
Exactly.
love that notion of like not hindering yourself or limiting yourself too much ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, part of my work is like I I've banned we don't use the word flattering in my world. It's not about like looking thinner or looking your most optimal. It's about wearing clothes that make you feel like yourself.
Mhm.
And if a certain shade of red orange is like an for you on color analysis, but when you put it on, you love it and you feel happy, I want you to wear it.
Yeah.
And not everyone agrees with that philosophy, and that's totally fine. There are many stylists who do things, in different ways. But that's how I roll. So
Yeah, I love it. And you mentioned something earlier, Gab, that I want to go back to because I think it's really relevant. You mentioned the point of people who get promoted and get into leadership roles, and they might need to like slightly go up a notch with
yeah.
their wardrobe and with their style. Like, what advice would you have for them? Like you said, where they might want to be taken more seriously or be viewed within that leadership role that they have.
Yeah, so I think intentionality is really what it's about. When you see someone who looks really well dressed and you can't figure out why, you're like, oh, they're just wearing jeans and a t-shirt and a blazer, but like something about all of this is really working. They got their t-shirt hemmed to the exact right length. The blazer fits them perfectly and is made out of nicer materials. The jeans are exactly the right shade that makes sense with the t-shirt. So it's not that you have to, be a whole certain type of way or wear really, custom made suits. It's about every piece you're picking out fitting you right, being made of nice materials. And yes, that often will include getting things tailored. I cannot express enough the power of getting t-shirts tailored to the right length. It is so magical. Or even like sleeves. I have clients who are petite who take the sleeves up in their t-shirts.
Yeah.
Um, So those little details are what really makes things come together. And usually, taking your clothes up a notch in terms of quality. So if, at manager level, you're shopping at Zara and Gap and H&M, like totally fine. But if you want to look a little more elevated, a little more intentional, you're going to have to raise the bar on where you're buying your clothes and the materials of your clothes as well. That's not to
Yeah.
say there aren't wonderful, good material made things at those stores. On average, the more you spend, the better quality you're going to get. But there are exceptions in both directions for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure you'll agree with this. It's like I view clothes as an investment. Like if you might be
Absolutely.
spending a little bit more money on a nice pair of jeans or to get things hemmed, but it's stuff that you'll love the way that you look and feel in, and then you'll have for years and years down the line. So it's almost like spending shorter money now could potentially cost you more in the long run if you have to keep cycling through new clothes.
Yes, there's a term I really love that's buy it nice or buy it twice.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Just to like
yeah,
be okay with kind of like investing in some of those things that you might want to spend a little bit more money on to have for years to come down the line.
absolutely. And it's not, it's also not a binary. Like you
Mhm.
can, if you can't afford to level up everything, level up your shoes, your bags, and your jackets. And then, when you can, bring the jeans up to the next level. And even like, I'm the biggest proponent of Uniqlo t-shirts, regardless of how much money you have. I think they make the perfect t-shirts in like every weight possible. So, leveling it up could be buying the Uniqlo t-shirt is the lower level, and then buying it and then spending another 20 to tailor it is the higher level.
Mhm. That's a good point too, like finding a compromise there.
Yeah, exactly. And also the next level thing is replacing them a little more often than you want to. Like
Mhm.
the blacks go gray, the whites get dingy. You do have to replace t-shirts more than you're going to want to, especially if you're tailoring them. I get it, but like those little things are the things that make the difference. The other way you can do that, if you're the kind of person who does like a, high maintenance to be low maintenance, like put in a lot of effort at at the top, buy 3 of the same t-shirt, get them all tailored at once, and then just rotate them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So that way, like when it once it gets to the point where it's like they really need to swap out for a new t-shirt, they already have one backed up for that.
You can do it that way, or you can wear them like alternate, have the 3 all in rotation, so it slows down how they're all degrading.
Oh
Either way
yeah.
works. Yeah,
Very true. Yeah.
yeah,
Good to know. I love that advice.
yeah.
And for anyone who's listening to this episode who is interested in pursuing a career in personal styling and wardrobes like you have, what advice would you have for
Just go for it. I mean, that's the only way to start is to start.
them?
Um,
Yeah.
Definitely start doing it for free for your friends and family just to figure it out, because I look back on some of those early things and I'm like, wow, that was not great. And you learn lessons the hard way, and people are going to be much less mad if they know and love you and didn't pay you anything. So it's also it's easier to style people, because you know things about them, you have a comfortable relationship with them, you already have trust there. So that's an easy way to get started and then kind of move out. So I started with like really close friends and family, and then like less close friends, and then friends of friends. So like as you move out and it gets more unknown, you're building up that ability to build trust with new people in that way, because personal styling is really very intimate.
Mhm.
I talk to people about their fears and concerns about their bodies, and I literally see my clients in their underwear, and we talk about their fears and concerns about money and identity. Like there's a lot of very personal stuff that comes out, so people really have to be comfortable with you and have to trust you. And on that front, the other piece of advice I would give too is be yourself in your marketing.
Mhm.
Be as authentically yourself as possible, because when people work with you, if you're not who they thought they were buying, they're going to be really, really thrown off.
Yes, I love that. I mean, which is so true because I can see like firsthand, even though we're through a computer screen, like how passionate you feel about what you do. So being able to work with someone who has that excitement and has that passion for it, I think is huge, especially as
Yeah.
you mentioned, like being in such a vulnerable place with your clients, like having someone that they can trust and rely on and depend on is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And like personality wise too. Like I
Mhm.
remember when I first started posting a lot and did an Instagram story where I was, talking about something and like used a few curse words. I got a text from my mom that was like, "Don't curse at work." I was like, "I curse in real life. I actually do. It's actually important that I do that and like speak like myself in real life on my social media
Totally.
because otherwise it's a bait and switch. Like I
Mhm.
have a very specific personality and you're either going to love it or hate it. And if you hate it, I want you to know that sooner and not waste your time, not waste either of our time. So like it has to, in order to feel comfortable with someone, you have to vibe with them, you have to like them. So the more I make who I am known on, my website, my social media, my Substack, like all of the places I am, I want people to feel like they already are kind of know me before we get started so they know what they're getting into and they're comfortable.
Yes, good point. I love that. And now I'm curious to hear, Gab. I always love asking our guests like who they would love to give a shout out to in tech. So it could be a founder of a startup, could be a VC, another consultant. I would love to hear who you'd like to give a shout out to today.
Yes. So I'm so excited about this one because it's a product I use every single day. Um, Nove is a styling platform. So it's a SaaS product made for stylists. So we take payment through there. We have our whole CRM in there. When I'm giving clients, when I do virtual shopping for clients, all their recommendations live in there and it's seamlessly connected with ShopMy. So I'm getting affiliate payments on all those recommendations as well. it's There are some other competitors out there, but this is the only one that actually feels like a real tech product that was
Mhm.
made by people who work in tech and understand the principles of UI and UX and like user journeys and all that stuff. So shout out to Megan and Caitlin. I'm so grateful for their product because before it launched, it was a very sad state of affairs for us stylists.
So you found a great solution.
Yes, they are crushing it. We're so grateful for them.
Amazing. Gab, this has been such a fun episode. I've really enjoyed having you come on the show to share all of your tips and tricks in regards to wardrobes and styling. And now I'd love to have you share with our listeners where they can find you online in case they'd like to connect.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me, Ashley. It's been so fun. I am wardrobe editor on Instagram, TikTok. My Substack is called Millennial Deprogramming. You'll hear all of my thoughts about rules and getting rid of them there. Um, and my website is wardrobeeditor.com. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Awesome. And I'll link to all those places in the show notes. That way they can easily find you from there. But thank you so much again for coming on this week's show.
Thanks, Ashley.